So good evening, everyone. Welcome to Harmony in the Woods. How about another round of applause for Bywater Call? My name is Greg Frigoletto, and I'm a host of HarmonyTALK. HarmonyTALK is a podcast that falls under the same umbrella as Harmony in the Woods. Harmony Presents, which is sponsored by A.M. Skyer Agency, an insurance business, third-generation insurance business, started in 1920, supports a lot of art and entertainment and other things related to that in our area. They sponsor this beautiful venue, this concert venue that is unlike many that you might have been to in the past. And they also sponsor HarmonyTALK. HarmonyTALK is a podcast that's about dreamers and doers. We try to find people that are doing things that at one time may have been just a dream, but now they're actually out there in the trenches and they're doing it. And we're really excited tonight to have Bywater Call here because I think for those of you that stuck around, you would all agree that they are truly and very victoriously in the doing part of that dream, as they showed us tonight, and I think that almost deserves another round of applause for the job that they did. For our listening audience that isn't here tonight and didn't have the pleasure to see the band tonight live, let me just say a little bit about the band that I know of, and I know we're going to learn a lot more about them as we go through this conversation. So Bywater Call is from Toronto. They have 3 albums. They have a new one coming out, an EP that just came out. So they've been around for a while. They have toured the States. They've toured Canada. They also have quite a following in the UK and in the EU, where I would say that their following might be little bit larger than it is here, and we're going to talk about that as we go through this. They had been nominated in 2025 for the International Blues Band Award in the UK, which is a huge honor just to be nominated with the ranks of really great musicians and great bands. And I think that's indicative of the following, not only that they have there, but also of the quality of the music that they provide and the respect that it's garnished from people that really know what good music is. People that know what good music is, I think, are sitting here tonight. I'm really happy to see at Harmony in the Woods, we had a lot of people show up tonight that maybe are first-timers and traveled here to Hawley, Pennsylvania, in northeastern Pennsylvania, the northern Poconos, not because you wanted to go on a road trip for any other reason, but to see your band, Bywater Call. So we, and I'm sure they, appreciate that they have a following. So we're going to get started, and there are some things I'd like to go through. And, you know, currently, one of the things I was talking actually to some of your fans about, there is a little bit of a blues renaissance going on, right? There's some bands out there along with you that are kind of, I would say, in the same vein, same style that you're doing right now, whether it's Gary Clark Jr., Larkin Poe. Yeah. So there's other bands that are like that. And then there's other bands that maybe have a bigger following, bands that maybe are more well-known. Bands like Tedeschi Trucks Band, the Black Crowes. And anytime I read anything about this band, Bywater Call, you're always compared to other bands. And as we were discussing, some of the fans and I, before I came up here, I'm not sure if you can be described fairly to those other bands because you're so uniquely different. And I think we saw that firsthand tonight. So I'd want to know right out of the gate, do you like comparisons? Do you think you fit into those comparisons? Or is it something with a 7-piece band that you can provide that you think just makes you different?
I don't mind it. I think that's how people talk about stuff that they like. Mm-hmm. You know, you have to have some way to describe it, and I have a hard time describing our music. So if you can say, you know, a little bit of this, maybe a little bit of Tedeschi Trucks, but also, you know, we have so many influences. And we incorporate more and more influences all the time. Like Gary Clark Jr. was an influence for a tune that we wrote. The Black Pumas, the Black Keys, Alabama Shakes, Allman Brothers, the Wood Brothers, Amy Winehouse. I mean, we could go on forever. Right. So anytime somebody hears a little bit of any of that in the music, they're finding something that you know, speaks to them or helps them describe the music. So certainly not. And anything we've ever been compared to, I'm honored to be in the same sentence as any of them. So at the same time, we are trying to carve out our own kind of unique voice in in, I don't even know what genre we are, but in the wide cast genre of all the things that we try to do. So I appreciate, anybody who's like, you can't fit them in a category. It's great. I love it.
So that's Meghan Parnell, for our listening audience, the lead singer of the band. And it's funny, you talk about being grateful for the comparisons, and it's often Bonnie Raitt, Susan Tedeschi. I think I just saw one, Adele.
Got Adele today. It was great.
So Adele. So I think if those are the comparisons, then I think you're doing just fine.
It's no problem.
And as far as Dave, I know you're primarily writing the music.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, so primarily you're the guy that's doing a lot of the writing. And when you're writing, and one of the things I wondered, even as we were sitting here tonight, does it start with a lick? Does it start with a lyric? Does it start with a feeling? If you're writing, how does it start? And when do you start to formulate where Meghan might come in, because it's such a unique blend, the vocals and the guitar?
Yeah, we're apprentice songwriters. We're songwriters in training, and we're trying to write good songs, which is, I think everyone thinks, oh, that's what everyone's doing. It's like, I think some people are just trying to have a good time on stage. We're trying to develop a great song that might stick with people, which so many artists, like all the artists you just mentioned,
Right.
Have done. And that's really what it is. And like that's the legacy of all of our heroes, the Beatles, the Stones, Zeppelin. Like those are great songs. So we're students of that, of trying to, how do you make a good song? So we're novices at it for sure. So in terms of the beginning, we basically, sometimes I have a lyrical idea in my head. Sometimes I just mess around with some chords. And then eventually, because Meghan is such a star, I'll just give it to her and be like, what do you think about this? Do you think this could work for you? And there's stuff I've given her where it's like, it's not really doing it. It's not really what I had in mind. I hear lyrics a lot of times in a male vocal just because that's what's in my head. And then I give it to Meg, and then sometimes we'll have to flesh it out a little bit where we shift the key and get it into her key. And then it becomes a whole other thing, which is great. But yeah, it's definitely a process.
And when you put things down on vinyl, or you have a record that's coming out, you're like, or I'm going to say instead, you're unlike other bands who oftentimes, the record comes out and it sounds really good, and then maybe you see it live and it's not that good. You're both. As a matter of fact, it starts great, but then when it's live, it only gets better, right? So when you're recording, does that impact or influence how you record music, knowing that live for this band is really when you're at your best?
I mean, we have such a great band, so we're just so thrilled to have such a great group behind us that can make it sound so awesome live. It's just two different animals all the time. The studio is like, the question in the studio is, can we convey the message we're trying to convey, or get the sound, or get the idea across? Because there's so many things to that. There's everyone's approach, there's the way the room sounds, there's the way we've written, even things like the tempo or the key can have a drastic effect on what we're trying to do. So I think in terms of studio, we basically try to see if we can realize our vision, and live, we try to see if we can connect with the audience in a larger way.
That's a great segue into something that I had seen actually, Meghan, on one of your posts. I think you were in Europe, and it might even have been recently. You were talking about a tour stop, and there was kind of a mishap where maybe some of your gear was stolen, or you guys lost something, and it might have been a little costly to the band. But at the end of your post, you said, but it was worth it, right? And for all of us mere mortals that kind of have this love of music and kind of look at it from afar so admirably, and we would wonder what life on the road is really like. And I think when you said that, it kind of summed it up, because it's maybe not always easy, but it's worth it. And then Dave, going back to what you were just saying about connection, maybe if you could talk to us a little bit about what is it like to be a touring musician, and when you're on this stage, what does that connection feel like? What sort of endorphins are running through your body when you're up here and it's just clicking?
Yeah, so The band, I mean, when we first started this band, we weren't really thinking beyond us really just wanting to write some music and realize the sound that we had in our head, which we always knew we wanted to have a bigger sound. And as soon as we got the first festival we ever got, which probably paid us $300, we're like, now's the time to add the horn section. We're going to be a 7-piece band because we got this spot on this festival on the little side stage, and it was freezing cold and 15 people showed up, but it was the time and it was great. We were so happy and excited to do that. And we never really pictured that we were going to be touring in Europe and the UK and coming down to the States and going all over Canada and having to get on planes all the time. And so we committed to a 7-piece band, and then we dealt with the logistics of that later, which the post that you're talking about on the last tour we did, there's a lot involved. And we ended up doing, at the end of this Europe tour, our tour manager had to take off and do something else, and we had to make our way to the Canary Islands, which is amazing, and we had 2 fantastic gigs there on 2 different islands, but that means we had to take all of our gear on tiny little planes, island to island, and some of those airlines we don't know, and they don't like musical gear as much, and so we ended up having to fork over like a fair amount of money in order to get the gear on the planes, and then the same thing happened right after that to get back home. But we work with a lot of venues and promoters who help take care of us in those situations, which is great, and well worth it. 2 amazing shows and really nice soft-seaters in the Canaries, and then we did this huge festival in the middle of Vitoria in Spain, and the whole tour was great, but those were a really great way to finish it, despite a little bit of financial strife and stress. I mean, it's stressful when you're trying to get all that stuff on a plane, but all worth it for when we get up on stage and have the adrenaline pumping and people who have come out to see you, and it all makes it worth it.
Yeah, and that was very evident tonight, and I think the folks that are staying behind are here because the connection that they had not only during the show makes them fans, but it also has them sitting around after a 2-hour show on a very hot night, buggy night,
Appreciate
to hear you, because the connection isn't just about your music, and everything that anybody does is about people, and I think the groups and the bands that are the most successful might not even be the best songwriters. That doesn't apply to you as a band because your songwriting is amazing, but there is a connection that you're making with the fans that was so clear tonight. Just enjoying what you're doing, noticing the fun you had, having them dancing up on the hills. Even the trees, I think, were shaking tonight, which was really, really kind of exciting. And you talked a little bit about when you started, and when you started in Toronto, because that's where both of you, I think, started originally as musicians and as a band. You were actually a cover band. Is that correct? So when you were at that point, did you think, we've made it, we're a cover band, we're touring around Toronto, maybe a little bit in and out of Toronto and Canada, or was it always, this is just the beginning and there are bigger and better things ahead? Because as this is a podcast about dreamers and doers, that was a dream, right?
Yeah.
And as I started, you're kind of in the doing phase, and I'm telling you, we're all going to leave as massive ambassadors for this band. So everybody that's sitting here and everybody that's listening to this podcast, every friend you have, every relative you have, anybody that you know that likes music, you have to pass this band's name along because they have to be heard. But if it's going back to it, so what was that part of this story, the dreaming as a cover band, and then how did it evolve?
I think about that every day. I think because I guess it's weird to say, but it's ambition. Like we were in this cover band and we were playing. We've all been to weddings. That was what we did.
Right.
Every night we did those songs, and every night I did it, I was like, I'm proud of myself. I'm making good money. I'm with a good crew, which is pretty much these guys. We're having a good time. There's nothing wrong with this, but I was like, yeah, but Mark is king, Tedeschi Trucks, or even John Prine. It's like those guys went out on a wire and said, how about this? That's not gonna ever light up the 20 by 20 dance floor at a wedding. And it's like, yeah, I like that more. I'm more interested in what in Angel from Montgomery or something from Neil Young's Harvest or any number of songs than I am in like Boogie Wonderland.
Yeah.
Not to rag on that too. It's a great song. It just does, for me, I wanted to be part of like writing something that I'm like, I think that's good. I like what I wrote. And like I said, we're still apprentices, but like that's the journey.
Well, one thing that you talk about all the time with songwriting and how we want to approach it is good storytelling, making people feel something, as opposed to just like a vessel to dance, which is also very cool, but isn't really the approach that we want.
Yeah. I think anybody who's got the stones to go out there and try to like make somebody feel something they weren't expect to feel is pretty cool. And there's also no shade in going out there and doing cover music. And we still do that. Like that's, you have to.
So when you were at that point, did you already have kind of a working on catalog of music that you were kind of archiving and dabbling with, or was it like, that's it, we're just going to go in that direction and we're really going to start to formulate our stuff?
Well, we jumped in the deep end. We had never written songs before, Dave and I, and the cover band was going well. It was really successful. I had a day job at the time, and and Dave had been working very hard on that project. And between all of that, we didn't have a lot of time, but we had been talking about writing for a while. And we were like, we just have to make this happen. And I'm like, we're doing well enough with the cover band. I'm going to leave my day job. That's going to give me a little bit of time to try to figure out some of this. And then we had a friend who was doing a show at a little club that doesn't exist anymore in Toronto. And he still had one more 30-minute opening slot that he needed to fill. I feel like we were talking about that at my birthday one year with Ryan. And I was like, we'll take it. We'll take the slot. Yeah. And then that forced us to have to write enough tunes to fill 30 minutes.
It's amazing the tiny thing that can set you off on...
Yeah.
Because I don't think we would... If that hadn't happened...
I don't know if we would have moved forward.
If our buddy hadn't said, do you guys want... You always said you wanted to play original music. All right, I want you to put your money where your mouth is. That literally is the reason. Like, without that, I would have thought about it for 10 more years.
So that was the spark.
Yeah.
Your passion really was, what got lit, but at the same time, you were willing to roll the dice. Take a risk.
Yeah.
And Meghan, you just talked about, saying something artistically, and I think that's important to this band. And one of the songs you sang tonight, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's called Clutter, and it's on the new album.
Yes.
So the audience is saying that's so good. So that song, as you sang it, it's a dramatic change in tone and texture from what you played most of the night. But when you sat down and you were singing that song, you really said something. And I've always said to people who really don't like to stand up and speak publicly, when you have the opportunity, look at it as an opportunity to actually say something. And I think that song says something. So if you could maybe just elaborate a little bit on that song.
I feel like Dave should talk about that song.
Yeah, that was when I wrote... I was listening to a lot of Shaky Graves, a lot of Wood Brothers, like a lot of acoustic finger picking, just like, what can you tell a story with just an acoustic guitar and a vocal? And that's what Clutter is. And I love, I'm like a sucker for a good dichotomy where it's like, wait, what's this about? Is this about, the thematically, it's like, if you ever saw the IKEA commercial where they put the lamp out on the trash, and the lamp is so sad that, I don't know if anyone saw that commercial, but it was a thing. But that's kind of the idea, is it's just like, the idea of being discarded and being thrown away and having your heart broken is that's the theme of that song. Mm-hmm. And then, the idea of clutter being like, this individual, whoever they are, is just like, I don't want to be part of the discarded remnants of the past. I want to stay on, that was what it was. And like, if you listen to some of these artists, these great, like I said, the Wood Brothers, Shaky Graves.
Jason Isbell.
Jason Isbell.
Oh, yeah.
There's so many good ones where it's just like, you listen to the words, and you're like, oh my God, what is he talking about here? And you just get sucked into the story. And it's only 3 minutes long, but all of a sudden you're just like, I'll go through and analyze every lyric. Like, what did he mean by that? What does he mean by this? You know, like, I love that stuff. For me, that's.
And I think that is some of the artistry behind what you do. And you mentioned Jason Isbell, and I think 10 people could hear Clutter or an Isbell song and think 10 different things about what it means.
Yeah.
And I know I've talked to other artists, and I think, Megan, maybe I talked to you the first time we talked about this. It's, you know, like, you try not to be literal, I would imagine, as a lyricist, as a songwriter. And
the worst thing.
Right.
Thing.
Yeah.
To me, anyways.
And actually, generally speaking, I think the greats like Dylan, for example, right? You don't know what he's saying.
Yeah.
Not only because he's garbling half the time,
Right.
but really maybe even lyrically.
But you can unpack it.
You
for
can unpack
decades.
it,
Your
right.
whole life can be like, oh, you'll be in a supermarket and you'll, whatever, trip over your shoes and like, oh, that's what Dylan meant when he said that.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah.
the genius of a great, yeah.
And that song tonight, I think, whatever anybody's impression or interpretation of it would be, it resonates.
Yeah.
And I think that's powerful. And so many of your songs tonight resonate lyrically and musically. And I think, Megan, your style and approach and the visceral way that you sing adds such emotion to the words that it's impossible for it not to be electric and contagious and fun. It was really great show tonight.
Thank you.
So, you know, as people are listening to this, we've already said to the fans here and the listeners to be advocates for this band. But if we were to say, okay, start somewhere, right? You have a catalog now, and there's so many songs you could choose. Would there be one that you would say, okay, if you're going to start somewhere, if you want to know who this band is, this is where you start?
That's a good question.
It's tough. Oh man, that's actually a really hard question.
I think a good, we didn't play it tonight, and it's not a song I wrote or Meg wrote, but I think a good primer for Bywater Call is Sweet Maria.
Love Sweet Maria.
Because it's not Southern rock. It's not Lynyrd Skynyrd, which is not what we're trying to do, which confuses a lot of people. A lot of people are
But
like,
I have to tell you, there are times when I listen to your band,
and it is.
I think there's a little Skynyrd there.
There is.
We
And we love
incorporate,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
We love that. But there's like 1,000 bands that are being like, this is the new Zeppelin. This is the new... And it's like, that's not really what we're doing. I mean, there are elements of that in there. But Sweet Maria is, to me, sounds more like the band. And that would be I think that would be a great primer for what Bywater Call is trying to do. We're not trying to be the heaviest, shreddiest Southern rock band you can find. We're trying to do something that's a bit more like, yeah, you're going to get a bit of that, but there's also going to be like a song in there that maybe like you know, like Needle and the Damage Done or something, you know, like a great Neil Young song,
Yeah.
like, you know, like something would pop in. Yeah.
I think that's good, yeah.
That's a good one?
Yeah,
We get
I
approval?
accept that.
That's a John Curvin song.
Yeah, our last
Meg-
keyboard player started that tune,
Lyrics
and
by
we.
Meghan Parnell.
Yeah.
It's a good one. Didn't play it tonight.
So as you are kind of starting, you're just back from a tour. I think you were over in Spain. Is that correct?
Spain, Netherlands, Germany.
Yes.
Belgium.
So now you're back and you're going to do a little run. I know in the States coming up, a couple on and off days, going back to Toronto, playing in the area, and then doing some more shows in the States.
Yep, a bunch for the rest of the year.
Okay. And when you came to this venue tonight, right, you probably wondered first, where is Hawley, Pennsylvania, right? As some of the fans did, I know they put it in their GPS and they did find it. They were determined, that's for sure. So when you pulled in here, maybe for those that are going to be listening that might want to venture here to Harmony in the Woods, tell the audience that's listening what your thoughts would be about this venue and about what it offers to a person that's interested in live music.
What did you say when we were setting up, Dave?
This is absolutely beautiful.
You said it was like a mini Red Rocks.
It's a mini Red Rocks. There's a big rock over there. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, this is a really great spot, and it was an honor to see so many people come out and in the midst of number one, July 4th, and number two, and a massive heat wave.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Where hiding in your basement with the air conditioning on is definitely like top of mind. It's pretty cool, and
A
it's
beautiful-
a beautiful spot. I would absolutely recommend anyone come to see this and see a show here. Yeah.
So as we wrap up in just a few minutes here, one of the other things that I'd want to kind of throw at you is, we've talked a lot about this band, obviously, but, we've thrown a lot of other names around and of other bands. And I think in a respectful way, you admire those bands and those musicians, but it's almost actually also a little bit self-deprecating because you don't put yourself at that place. And I think you should. Because the work you're doing and the music you're creating, I don't know who you would match it up against that you think it's not as good as what they're doing. You guys put on a great show. You write great music. And I think there's only great things to come. What is next for Bywater Call?
I think we're going to keep writing. We're going to keep playing. I think at this point, with these guys and Meg and myself, this is it. We're in for life. So, we just love doing it. I think the only reason we don't put ourselves on that level maybe is because we're still just kind of we're just getting into the scene, we don't want to, it would be weird to say yeah, well, you hear interviews with the bands and they're like, we're exactly like the Stones. I'm like, no, you're not.
Yeah, I get it.
You might want to wait a while.
I get it.
Yeah. But other than that, in terms of just enjoying playing and just for me, anyways, this is it. This is my dream job come true, which I think is the theme of the podcast. Never want to do anything else other than this.
So, and I think for the band, as they were loading the bus after the show, we talked a little bit briefly, some band members and me, about, day jobs. And this is it right now for this band. It's a traveling, working band, and everybody's committed, and it takes that sort of commitment. And
we do 140 to 160 shows a year with this band.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's amazing. We've had the same people in this band except for the keyboard player since we started it. And I think that's a huge testament to all the members in this band. They're incredible musicians, and everybody works really hard.
Great band.
So, nothing's always roses. And sometimes you're driving in a non-air conditioned, junky school bus.
For 7 hours.
But even this week where we were all just sweating in that bus, everybody was in a pretty good mood, not too cranky. And so we're really fortunate. And I think all of us in this band are fortunate that we have fans who follow us around and spread the word and buy merch when we're out here. And it's the only way we can keep doing this. Mm-hmm. So it's really, we can be as tenacious as we want, but if we're not reaching anybody, then there's no point.
And with the future in mind, so is this thing on, was the EP that just came out?
The single, yeah.
Yeah, we're releasing, it's a release strategy. So it's not really an official EP. I'm just kind of putting everything we've released already under the single. So Spotify calls it an EP.
Okay.
But it's kind of a single.
It's our newest single.
But the full album comes out July 29th.
And the name of the album?
Broken Souvenirs.
From Claudia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Excellent. So we have that to look forward to. And as we wrap up, I would just want to thank the audience members that stuck around. And I'd like to thank Dave and Megan from the band for not only putting on an amazing show tonight, but for being willing to stick around and tell us a little bit about your story. You inspired us, you entertained us, and we wish you nothing but the best. This is HarmonyTALK. It's a podcast about dreamers and doers. If you would like to learn more about the band Bywater Call, you could find them on all of their socials at Bywater Call. You could find them at bywatercall.com. If you're interested in seeing a show here at Harmony in the Woods, you can log on at harmonyinthewoods.org. You can see what the summer events are, what the summer schedule looks like, and there are some tickets left for some shows, not all of them. We're excited about what the summer has to offer, and we're thankful that Bywater Call kicked us off on a really great way with a boom, and we appreciate that. My name is Greg Frigoletto. This has been HarmonyTALK. Keep dreaming, keep doing, keep rocking, and own your next chapter. Thank you.
Thanks, Greg.
You guys-